Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. That's almost 5 years of Torah every single day. Finding each other every single weekday morning to say good morning to each other. Susie, it's good to see you. Leslie, welcome. I don't know everyone's name by their handle, but it's good to see all of you here. Penny, thank you. It's broadcast 1224. Shush, it's good to see you. Anya and Jonathan, Arlene, Boker Tov. Let's greet each other with even more love this morning than we ever have. Joyce, it's good to see you. Hi, Ashley and Jack. Dave and Jerry, Boker Tov. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see everybody joining us. Susan, hi. Hi, Sandy. Judy, today is your mother's 7th yahrzeit. May her memory be for a blessing. Thank you for sharing her with us. Our Torah this morning is dedicated to her. Patricia, Debbie, and Linda, Barbara and Linda, Arlene, Boker Tov, friends. It's good to see all of you. Neil, welcome. Neil, I'm so happy to see you. Good morning, my friend. I didn't know that was you. What a blessing. All right. Rosa, sending love to Malta. Catherine, sending love to Australia. Amy and Richard and Dave, good morning. Let's see, anybody else we can say good morning to? Joan Roth. What a blessing to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Thinking about you now. Ron, sending love to. Valerie, you are celebrating your grandma's friend's 100th birthday, a survivor, and she witnessed Israeli survivors. Blessings to her. Blessings to you. Today's Torah is certainly also in her honor. Deborah and Roberta, good morning. Joy, good to see you. Sending love to you in Minneapolis. Your father's yahrzeit is tonight and tomorrow. Bless his memory. Helen, thank you everyone for sharing all of this. Keep it coming. Keep the love coming. Jen, it's good to see you. Corinne, sending love to Mauritius. Such an honor that you're here. Cecile, Caroline, Deborah, sending you all the warmth you and your house need in this terrible cold. All right, there's a lot to talk about. My apologies for being a little bit scattered because I don't want to miss anyone here on Facebook or Instagram, and there's a lot to talk about today. So let's all do something. Stan and Carl, it's good to see you. Hi, Natalie. Let's all take a breath. Wherever you are, whatever platform you're on, and if friends, you're watching this later, I'm inviting you whenever you watch this. Take a breath. Here we go. You know what? Let's do it again. Here we go. It's so good to be with you. Today is our broadcast 1224. It is the 474th day of war, and we have each other, and we have more of us than we did before. 3 beautiful souls were released this last Sunday from hundreds of days of captivity. And please God, 4 more will be in our arms this coming Shabbat. There is a lot to talk about, and I'm going to talk about all of it in case you're curious. We're going to do this dance gracefully, where we talk about our values in the face of the world. As authentic Jewish wisdom always must be, it is applied. Because the rabbis didn't make categorical, detached rulings, not in antiquity and not today. And even Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, was not a detached personality, speaking in esoteric terms about a God only he had personally witnessed. No, God descends onto Mount Sinai, though it hasn't happened in our Torah portions yet, which means God comes close to our reality. As we said yesterday, quoting Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, the beginning of our history is a God who's concerned with the way that we start acting. And when that action that any one of us takes requires correction, we believe, even if we don't believe in a being called God, Jewish tradition tells us we are called to act as just people. We'll read in Leviticus later on, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. So on this 474th day of war, we will be as honest about our world as we have ever been. We will not miss the moments that we carry into this, meaning our ancestors and our children, and Chana, that you've made Aliyah again. You are coming to us from Jerusalem. We have been tracking your journey. Whenever you can plug in, we love you so much. Take in all of the reality, the beautiful sky, the beautiful people, and know that we are with you, and through you, we are with our people in our home. Let me name a few of the things that I want to make sure we remain focused on, eyes on the prize. But before I do that, let me quote a little bit of Torah. Because in this Torah portion, the birth of our liberation story, really, Vaeira, Moshe brings the language of liberation to the people. And the verse says something intense, important, relatable, and therefore instructive. Exodus 6, chapter 9. Vaydaber Moshe kain el bnei Yisrael. When Moses told this to the Israelites, what did he tell them? The verse before tells us that God promises, Vehiveti etchem el haaretz, I will bring you to the land that I swore to your ancestors. But when Moshe told this to the Israelites, V'lo sham'u el Moshe mikotze ruach u'me'avodah kasha, they wouldn't listen to him. He brought the language of liberation to a people that had suffered, and they couldn't imagine it. Rashi says they chose not to listen, but Ramban, Nachmanides, says something interesting. I'm going to quote, I'm looking at the Sefaria translation. It was not because they didn't believe in God and God's prophet. Rather, they paid no attention to his words because of the impatience of spirit. As a person whose soul is grieved on account of misery, and who does not want to live another moment in his suffering, even though he knows that he will be relieved later. The impatience of spirit, in quotes, kotzer ruach, contracted breathing, was their fear that Pharaoh would put them to death, as their officers said to Moses, and the cruel bondage was the pressure for the taskmasters pressed upon them and made their spirits anxious, rushed them, which gave them no chance to hear anything and consider it. In our own words, the Torah says that when Moshe spoke God's promise of deliverance and liberation, the people could not hear it. It's not that they didn't want to, they couldn't hear it. They couldn't deal with what they were in, even though they knew that it one day would pass. So when I give you this list that I'm about to give you of the things we need to pay attention to, not the distractions, and only from places of Jewish values, I want you to remember something in advance. You and I are breathing, which means we are obligated. You and I are Bnei Israel. We are the children of these people, formerly enslaved human beings. And we have compassion, no judgment, on what they went through. Why couldn't our ancestors let in the language of liberation? Because it's hard to. When you've been through something, when you are in something, it is hard to imagine that you will ever not be in it. So when a Jewish preschool in Australia is set on fire, as it was yesterday, or when Columbia University, where I went, Jewish classes are invaded by masked children who are not brave enough to show their faces and emphatically support terrorists. It's hard to figure out, to imagine that we will ever not be in that. It is also hard. It is hard to fathom a world where 4 years after American terrorists attacked savagely police officers in our nation's capital, that they were pardoned. It is hard to know how to comfort and support our trans family members when their very existence was erased, or at least denied. It is hard when I look to the White House's Gun Violence Prevention Office to see that it no longer exists. It is hard to know that those who already had appointments seeking asylum in the United States suddenly don't have their appointments. It is hard to know that there was a stabbing attack at a bar in Tel Aviv yesterday. It is hard. All of this is real. All of this is hard. And the taskmasters pressing upon our ancestors, hurrying them, is also a description of how these incessant events, realities, will be an assault on our ability to breathe. And I want to invite you right now to practice what it is just to breathe. Breathe with me. I'm not telling you to do something I'm not willing to do myself. Consciously breathe with me. Because there are also things that are beautiful. And we are who we have always been, light bringers, values-based, faith people who see a world where we still say, I believe the Messiah will come. That is who we are. We have always been, and we will always be. 3 more beautiful souls that we have longed for 470 days are being held by their mothers, by their families, by their friends, by their people. In fact, whoever thought that this, the symbol that Emily Damari offered because her fingers were shot off by terrorists on October 7th, 2023, whoever thought this would be a reminder of Am Yisrael Chai? Every rock fan knew that. And Linda, I hear you. I want to repeat what you said, and I want to amplify my response too. You wrote, I resent that my natural inclination to be kind is being challenged for its authenticity. No, my friend, your kindness is the model. You have called us from day one of our broadcast kind souls. That is who we are, and we are not allowed to choose any other way. The rabbis know this because 2,000 years ago they say, "B'makom she'ein anashim hishtadel liot ish." In a place where people are not being human, be human. The rabbis know that in their context. We know it in ours. So, Am Yisrael Chai. Look at Emily's shining face. And for all of the complexity, my friends, millions of people around the world saw released hostages, including Noah Argamani, family members of hostages, and our beloved Ronen and Orna Nutra, their son Daniel, holding up the beautiful face of their beautiful lost son, Omer Nutra. We will face the world as it is. We say this every broadcast, and we will lift it up. We have that capacity because we look at our ancestors and we don't judge them for their inability to imagine a better world. But they're our ancestors, and we're here. We are the better world that they had a hard time believing in. Their liberation led to our ability to do something in the world. So I want to tell you two things that inspire me. Well, there's a lot. I want to tell you two of the things that inspire me. Make it three. Last night, I was learning with a beautiful group of UJA students and supporters, our community, our beautiful learning groups that I'm so privileged to learn with. And I closed our learning by blessing us with love and with joy. And a member of the group who has gone through some hard things looked at me and said, "Rabbi, more joy." And I felt so touched and reminded. So friends, I don't just bless you with joy, I bless you with more joy. I said three things that inspire me. There are going to be four because Valerie just reminded me. Just yesterday and the day before, the Afia Foundation, led by the amazing Danielle Butin and an army of angels that sorts through discarded medical equipment. Can you imagine such a thing? Discarded medical equipment. Thank God for Danielle's vision and passion and organizational prowess. Those medical pieces of equipment have been distributed around the entire world, including when my beloved grandmother died. All of the equipment that she left behind, including walkers, went through Afia to Ukraine. Well, now, the stuff that we are able to gather with some significant support from UJA is making its way to LA. Two things: more joy and power to save lives. I was inspired that an Episcopal bishop, beautiful human being, stood in the National Cathedral yesterday and prayed and asked before the president and all assembled for mercy for the people who are now afraid. That is a model of humanity, and she needs and deserves our amplification. Valerie, you're asking how you can contribute to UJA and Afia's work. Make a gift to UJA. That is how we support Afia. I want to tell you the last thing that inspires me. The first three were more joy, the power to save lives, and the correct use of faith, what prayer really means. The fourth, I mentioned that there was a stabbing attack in Tel Aviv. That's a strange place to point for a last piece of inspiration. I have a dear friend in one of the study groups whose daughter was at the bar when it happened. And half the people in the bar when it happened ran into the stairway, because that's, in a God forbid moment, the shelter in many structures. And then they came back. But what they saw was that the other half of the bar never left their seats and were acting like nothing happened. My friend's daughter, who was in the group that left and then came back, went up to the bar and said, I've been waiting for my drink. And the bartender, without missing a beat, said, I called your name lots of times. Where were you? And then gave her her drink. And she sat down, and we continued living our life, not reducing our joy, knowing what it is to be free. So friends, I want to bless you right now, like my friend reminded me yesterday, with more joy. More joy and deep breathing. You and me. Breathe. Let's do it again right now. You know, we started this broadcast because of the pandemic in the early days of it. And I cannot tell you how often I look back at those videos sometimes, how often we practiced breathing, and look at us now. I can imagine a better world, can you? I'm going to say that again. I can imagine a better world. Can you? Our children deserve that intention right now. Our community requires us to step up with language that is worthy, with values that endure, with mercy, and yes, with joy. So on this 474th day of war, please God, with more of the hostages coming home, I invite you to close your eyes. Remind yourself of the power within you to hear good things, to do good things, to help somebody else, and to remember that we are far from alone. We get to be the helpers. It doesn't get better than that. Let's sing Hatikva as we send our hearts to the east. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia on lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ Zion, Virushalayim. Bring them home now. And like Emily taught us, Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.